Hey everybody, Jem Schofield here with the C47, and today's a good day because we're going to be taking a look at a new light from Felix, so let's get started. Okay, so here it is. This is the Q8 Travel. We're getting to see this before, well, pretty much anybody. There's a couple of these that exist right now. These are pre-production models. And what I want to do is talk to you about what this fixture is. Now, I have a lot of history with Felix in terms of using their fixtures. I use their 360 lights, their P360s all of the time for both kicker lights, for specials, all kinds of things where I need smaller light sources where I can change the color temperature. But the Q series is a little bit different, and I also have a history with those, the Q500, the Q1000. In fact, we use the Q1000 on my cinematic video lighting course with lynda.com. And this is really part of that family, the Q8. And what we're seeing here is something that is, to me, a big jump in terms of what we're getting in the Q series. Tremendous light output, a 340 watt draw, which means we're getting a lot of punch out of this unit. And what I want to do first is just talk to you about what this travel kit contains. So, of course, we have the light fixture itself, which we'll be talking about in more detail in a moment. The kit also comes with barn doors here and proper barn doors, which I always appreciate when I see those, and Felix does those correctly. It also comes with two magnetic rings here, which can be used, and you basically just separate them here to put gels and scrims and filters, and those just drop right into here. We have two stages inside of the light, so it will actually fit both those gels or scrims or filters and also the barn doors. So that's great. We also have, of course, all of the cabling that comes with the light, and then over here we have our ballast, really what's powering this thing, and it comes with a super clamp or a Maffer clamp, so you can attach that to your light stand. Of course, right here, I have it attached to a separate stand just for this tabletop setup, but normally I'd have this on a C stand and then I would attach this near the bottom. So well thought out, and the cabling is long enough for your standard setups. Additionally, we have the case itself, and the case with the light fixture and everything else will fit into that case and comes in right at 50 pounds. So at that weight, and also the case is of the size that you can check it if you are traveling by air, which is a really, really important thing. So that's everything that comes with the Q8 Travel Kit. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the light fixture itself and some of the things that I think will make it attractive to people in all-around production. So what makes this thing special? Well, it is a Fresnel-based unit with an 8-inch Fresnel, hence the Q8 name, custom designed by Felix, as is everything. So they don't get off-the-shelf parts, and I know this because I've been using their lights for a long time. And this light has a 340 watt power draw, so it is a beast. I mean, this is a bright light fixture. And it uses something called single source dense matrix LED technology, which means that Felix is designing their LED arrays themselves, and they are packing those LEDs really, really tightly, these phosphor LEDs, so that they can make sure that what we're seeing and the light source that's coming out of that reads as a single source. Combined with the Fresnel lens, what we're getting is a beautiful fall off from what I'm seeing. This also is a huge jump in terms of our spot to our flood here, which is fantastic. It's an 11 to 60 degree, so huge range in terms of this fixture. And even though this thing is built like a tank, we can see that it's a relatively compact unit in terms of its physical size, so to be able to go from that 11 to 60 degrees is fantastic. And then there are the controls themselves for the lights. So what I'm going to do is go to here, I'll just pan this and go to the back of the light here, and we're actually going to go ahead and take a look at some of these different controls. So over here on the back left, this is where we have our correlated color temperature that goes from 2800 Kelvin all the way up to 6500 Kelvin, a plus 93 CRI, across the boards. And while this is not a scientific overview of the fixture, it's an introduction of the fixture itself. From what I'm seeing, it is a really, really accurate light source. In terms of our hue, we can do a plus minus 0.25 for our green and magenta shift, which means that we can take this fixture and we can match it with other fixtures or the environment so that in post-production we don't get into that nightmare in terms of color correction. And we also have our intensity knob here. Right now we are at 0.1 in terms of our intensity percentage. We can go all the way up to 100, so this really is a dim to zero LED unit. So really nice in terms of that. And then it is DMX addressable. It's a standard DMX 512 addressable fixture, and there are different ways that we can connect to that with the unit. There is also the ability to do firmware updates through that port, and then of course the on-off switch for the fixture. And one of the things that I really like about the Felix fixtures now, and this is true of the Q8 and also the P360 Pro, is that when you're plugged into the fixture but you are off, you can actually still tune to whatever your settings are going to be before you turn the unit on, and then you can turn it on and it will light up, and you can see that there. So that's an overview of the rear controls of the fixture. And so what I want to do right now is I want to show you what this light looks like. So we're going to go ahead and set up a white backdrop here. We can take a look at what that looks like spotted. We'll start to flood it. In fact, this space is not big enough to see the full flood of this light, but you'll see it actually changing and what the fall off looks like with that dense matrix LED technology and also this 8-inch Fresnel lens that they designed. And we'll even throw up one or two other Fresnels so we can sort of see what those look like. It's not a comparison between specific light fixtures. I just want you to see what the quality of the light is that we're getting out of the Q8. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so here we are. We've got a couple of lights up here on this white backdrop. On the right-hand side, the Felix Q8, and on the left-hand side, an older LED unit, which is a Fresnel-based unit that does have the ability to spot and flood. And just as a note for you, on our Hero camera or our production camera here that's shooting this stuff, we are shooting this at 23.98 at an ISO of 800 at an f11. And we are also about 6 feet away from that background. Also, when you take a look at this online, which is where you're going to be watching it, you do have to take into consideration that this will be highly compressed. So you may see a little bit of banding in terms of the fall off of these lights, but rest assured that it's not there in the image that we're seeing in the real world. The fixture on the left-hand side is at full intensity in terms of output, and the Felix Q8 is only at 50% in terms of its intensity. They do draw quite a bit different in terms of power though. The left-hand fixture only draws 100 watts, hence the lower output. With the Felix, we are drawing 340 watts, so we can get a lot more output out of this fixture. These are both in their full spot at about 6 feet away from the backdrop. They are both set to daylight color temperature, but the difference is that the fixture on the left-hand side is a daylight only fixture, so we cannot actually tune that color at all. There is also no adjustment on that particular fixture for plus minus green. And again, it's not really about a direct comparison, but it is to show you the evolution in terms of what's happened with LED lights, and in particular here with the Felix Q8. Now again, the Q8 on the right-hand side is only at a 50% output, but you should also notice the tightness of that spot in terms of what we're seeing on the background. Here it is at 100% output, and you can see just how much brighter that light is than the light fixture on the left-hand side. So I'm going to dim that back down here to 50%. And what we really want to do now is we want to look at what happens when we start to flood the light. So I'm going to turn off here the Q8. We're going to start to flood the light here on the left-hand side so we can start to see what that fall off looks like. And it is quite nice actually on the backdrop, but we do just want to kind of see how that falls off. And again, intensity-wise, nothing close to what we have with the Q8. So let's just go ahead and turn off that fixture. We're going to go over here to the Q8 and turn that back on. And again, this is just at 50% intensity right now, but I'm going to start to flood that light. So let's take a look at that. And we can see here, there it is about halfway. And then we're going and in a full flood here. And I'm also going to bring up the intensity of the Q8 itself. Again, let's go ahead and spot it and take a look at that. And this is at 100% output now, so you can just start to see the difference here in terms of the fall off and how smooth the fall off is with that Fresnel lens along with the dense matrix LEDs. So this is now the Felix Q8 at full flood at 100% output at a 5600 Kelvin. And when I took my incident meter and took a reading at about 6 feet away, I got an f8 at 800 ISO and 23.98 in terms of the frame rate. And here we're looking at the Q8 at 100% output, full spot, and with an incident meter at 800 ISO, 23.98 in terms of the frame rate, we are getting a reading of an f22. So lots of punch out of this light overall. So there you have it. That is the preview of the Q8 Travel from Felix. I am very excited about this fixture. Even for a pre-production model, I can't believe that with a 340 watt draw, how quiet the fan is in the unit. It's also IP24 rated, so it is designed to get a little bit wet and not go down for the count. And additionally, it is a flicker-free fixture, so you can use this fixture at any frame rate when you're shooting with your camera systems. I'm definitely excited about taking this thing out and using it on some productions. I am excited about the evolution that we're seeing with LED lighting right now, and the fact that we have, in such a relatively compact unit here, the ability to use this at all of these different color temperatures to have a plus-minus green shift that we can actually compensate for our environment and other fixtures, and also the fact that we have that really tight 11 degree all the way to that 60 degree in terms of our spot to flood makes me, well, pretty excited about this one. Thanks for watching.